So recently, the Kolkata rape case in India shook the entire world. A 31-year-old doctor who had finally gone to sleep after a 36-hour long shift was found raped and murdered the very next morning. She was basically strangulated and smothered after the guy was done raping her. So when I thought of making a video on this topic and started reading the news, all I found was pain, 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 pain. It was like that Elon Musk reel where he says, starting a business is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. That's how it felt. The girl was dead, her life was lost, and there was nothing we can do about it. So I was looking for the next best thing, which is catching the killer and getting some sort of satisfaction from serving justice. But there also, there are lots and lots of problems. So the hospital that the girl worked in was actually attached to a college. And due to lack of rooms, the hospital staff used to go to the college lecture hall to sleep at night. So there are lots and lots of strangers coming and going out of the hospital, but only the hospital staff is going and coming out of the lecture hall. And since the rape and murder happened in the lecture hall, the rapist must be part of the hospital staff. So this reflects badly on the hospital's image. And so there have been lots and lots of efforts to tamper with the evidence. For example, the girl's parents were asked to wait 3 hours before they could see their own daughter. I mean, this is an hospital and these are doctors. So they know how to extract evidence from a body and also destroy evidence inside a body. So what were they doing for 3 hours? Also, immediately after the murder, a renovation work was ordered at the hospital where they were tearing down walls just a few feet away from the crime scene. I mean, how will the police extract important evidence like DNA and other things from all this rubble? So basically, this is a sad story that just gets sadder and sadder the more and more you read about it. Also, this kind of rape murder, it is not like the first time it's happening in India. I mean, 12 years back, there was Nirbhaya gang rape, which happened in Delhi. And there, the rapists didn't even bother killing her. They just threw her out of a moving bus, alive and naked. And after fighting for 2 weeks in the hospital, Nirbhaya finally died due to several internal injuries. Internal injuries caused by inserting a metal rod inside her. So basically, the rapist got frustrated that they are unable to rape her. So they found this L-shaped wheel handle jack that they found inside the bus and they thrust it inside her to open her. But they thrust it so deep that when they pulled it out, all of her intestines came out. And this is not something new. I mean, even in ducks, we've seen male ducks raping female ducks. So in order to save themselves, the female ducks developed a spiral vagina so that the male's penis cannot easily enter in. So only when the female chooses the male and relaxes her vagina, he can actually enter. But no kind of defense mechanism will work against humans because men are using wheel handle jacks to open them up. And as I started reading more and more, I discovered that 2.5 lakh rape cases are being recorded in the world every single year. And even if 2% of those cases are lies fabricated by women to take some revenge on men, 2% of 2.5 lakhs is 5,000, which means 2,45,000 rapes are real and are happening everywhere across the globe, not just India. And in India alone, 86 rape cases are being recorded every single day. And these are just rapes that are being reported to the police. There are lots and lots of cases that are not being reported. So there is an estimate that 35% of the women face sexual abuse in their lifetime. So if you make 35 to be 33, that means 1 in 3 women face sexual abuse in their lifetime. 1 in 3. So rape is not rare like we think. It's actually very, very common. What's rare is people talking about rape and educating one another about rape. That's what's rare. So in this video, we're going to talk about rape, understand what goes on in a man's head before a rape and in a woman's head after a rape. We're going to understand the rape dynamics of our society. So if you look at the Kolkata rape or the Delhi rape, in both cases, the girl was in extreme pain while the guy was in extreme pleasure. I mean, how is this even possible? I mean, say you're at a party and you're like all dancing, singing, you're enjoying like anything. But there is one person alone in the party who's sitting in a corner, crying and depressed and moping. Wouldn't that just bring down the entire spirit of that party? Wouldn't it just kill the vibe? Well, the same applies to sex also. I mean, sex is just a party, where both parties need to be having fun, both man and woman. So when one party is in pain and is in crying, wouldn't your dick just go down? I mean, I didn't even understand this, which is why I started researching into this. And I found Madhumita Pandey, this brave lady, who went to Tihar jail and interviewed 71 rapists to understand their mentality. And what she found out was, while the news and the media was labeling the victims as India's daughters and the rapists as monsters, in reality, they were not monsters, but they were just India's sons who were doing these monstrous things to India's daughters. Meaning they were just regular people who sounded just like everybody else. Their tone, body language, voice. She felt as if she was hearing her friends talk. So, what happening here? Why were these men taking a life all for just 5 minutes of pleasure? I mean, these kinds of behaviors you see only in jungle. You see, if a tiger attacks you and kills you, all for just one meal of hunger. So, morning breakfast, it takes a life. Evening dinner, it takes a life. So, to serve the stomach, the tiger takes a life every single day. Similarly, the rapist, to serve his dick, he's taking a life every single time. So, only the organs are changing, but the behaviors are all same. But equating a rapist to a majestic tiger is not fair because it just shames the tiger. Because you see, if a tiger doesn't kill you, then the tiger dies. So it's either the tiger's life or your life. So it's basically a fight for survival. And therefore, whatever the tiger does is fair. But if a rapist doesn't have sex, then what happens to the rapist? Nothing. The penis just goes down and wakes back up the next morning with the same excitement and liveliness. The penis never dies. But by raping, these rapists are getting hunted and chased by the police, and when caught, they are being jailed and hanged by the police. Such a dumb thing to do, this raping, which is exactly what dogs figured out a long time back. You see, dogs were just wolves and they used to hunt us and kill us just like tigers. But somewhere along the way, the wolves understood that instead of eating us as food, if it becomes our friend, man's best friend, by turning into a dog, then it will get free food and free service its entire life instead of rotting away in cages like tigers. So, what the dogs understood is basically marriage. Instead of raping and killing a woman and rotting away in jail, if you would just become her friend, then you would get free sex and free service the rest of your life in the name of marriage. So, any intelligent man can reason this out, right? So, you would think that rape is done by illiterate and uneducated men. Wrong. Rape is done by all kinds of men, smart, dumb, intelligent, talented, everyone. And rape is committed by all kinds of people, teacher, father, police, everyone. For example, in Liz Kelly's lecture, Liz Kelly explains how a girl was sexually abused by her father. So this guy was a lawyer, so he was like really smart. So what he would do is he would call his daughter for a dance in public settings. And from outside, it just looks like a father and daughter dancing, totally harmless. But on the inside, the daughter feels her father's hard dick pressing against her the entire dance. So the daughter is now so scared because her father is not only sexually abusing her, but is also getting away with it by being so socially smart about it. Because it's only his word against hers. And by exposing him, she's not only shaming him or shaming herself, but is also shaming her own family. So, what causes men to abuse? I mean, is it only due to sexual pleasure? You see, sexual pleasure is just half the answer, but it is part of the answer. For example, seals, when they get sexually frustrated, they go rape penguins. So, if the alpha male gets all the girls and the beta male doesn't get any girl, then the beta male seals go and rape penguins who are a completely different species. So, sex is definitely a factor, but it's not the only factor. The other major factor that plays a role in men raping women is respect, which is what Madhumita Pandey discovers in her research. So, say you buy a new phone, how would you treat it? With respect and reverence. But now that you have a new phone, how would you treat your old phone? You just kick it out of the bed. So, how you value an object determines how you behave with that object. So, old phone is lower value and new phone is higher value. So, old phone you would just kick it out of the bed, but new phone you would treat it right. So, the same applies for women as well. How a man values a woman, is she low or high, determines how he behaves with her. So, if you take a man who believes in the caste system, lower caste, higher caste, then this kind of man would treat women belonging to his same caste with respect. But when it comes to women belonging to lower caste, he won't think twice about raping, torturing, and murdering them. For example, in 12 Years a Slave, the landlord, who's a white guy, treats his wife with respect, but repeatedly keeps raping the black woman who is his slave. Racism. Similarly, in the book Fine Balance, the landowner is a beautiful husband to his wife, taking care of her, providing for her. But during the night, he beats, rapes, tortures, and murders the farmers who are working in his farms. Basically, lower caste people. Casteism. So, racism, casteism, and all kinds of discrimination that you can think of, everywhere rape happens. For example, in the movie Boys Don't Cry, the heroine is a trans woman. So basically, she identifies herself as a man. So what she does is she bandages her boobs tight with a cloth so that she has a flat chest and looks like a man. So the entire movie, she'll have this group of friends who laugh, party, joke. They're all like best friends. But in the last scene climax, when the group of friends find out that she's a woman and not a man, they all gang rape her and murder her. Why? Because she's not just a woman, she's a woman of lower value. She's a trans woman. So from beautiful camaraderie and friendship, we go down to brutal rape and murder. Similarly, the same thing happens in wars. When two countries are at war, and let's say one country is starting to win over the other, then basically this country is of higher value and this country is of lower value. So men from this country start raping the women belonging to this country. So end of the war, the military men in this country rape all the women in this country, and when they go back to their home country, you will see them leading a normal life with a beautiful wife and 4 children. So outside country they are rapists, but inside country they are wonderful husbands. Why? Respect and value. When a man sees a woman as low value, he treats her like a old phone. And even if the girl belongs to the same country, race, caste, sexuality, a girl's value is still judged by another way, and that is her behavior. How does she behave? Does she smile, talk, and flirt with boys? Then she is a whore. Does she wear revealing clothes? She is dirty. I've even heard my own friends say this. Oh, I love homely girls dressed in chudidar going to temples. I don't like stylish girls wearing modern dress and dancing in clubs. So basically, the more and more a girl embraces her own sexuality, the more and more her value decreases in society. So a bikini model revealing a lot of skin, being sexual and giving seducing looks, well, according to society, she's a low value woman. While a Muslim woman fully clothed, revealing no skin, who was denied completely her own sexuality, is a high value woman. And in India, culturally, it's acceptable when low value women get raped. I mean, look at what this Tata is saying.
अब देखिए लड़का तो जाता है हर जगह, अकेला भी जाता है कहीं कमाने के लिए, मुंबई, कलकत्ता, मद्रास या विदेश।
तो लड़कियां भी जा रही हैं आजकल।
तो वही बात हुई, तभी तो ये सब हो रहा है।
साले को घर से निकलने मत दो, घर की लक्ष्मी घर में रहती है, अच्छा रहता है।
She deserves rape. And look at this policeman slut shaming the rape victim and blaming her for the rape.
Madam, when rape was happened, were you with boys?
No, not.
Why you went out without boys' protection?
Well, actually, there were a couple of my friends there.
See, you are with boys at night. What will happen? So, what did we learn today?
It's my fault. Thank you, officer. Thank you.
So culturally, rape is accepted here when a girl is low value. That's why in the media and news, whenever they talk about rape, they always portray the victim like a goddess or an angel. They say all these good things about her character to increase her value in your eyes. Because only then you will accept that yes, this is a horrible crime. For example, even in the Kolkata rape case, a Manichau, a female YouTuber, even she had to speak up the girl's character by saying all kinds of good things about her. Oh, she's a hardworking girl, 36-hour long shift, she's the doctor, she's the goddess, like that. She has to increase her value. Otherwise, nobody cares. Even one single flaw you find in the girl's character, then suddenly the rape becomes acceptable. I mean, even I am being shamed whenever I embrace my sexuality. So, I am single. And whenever I see a cute, attractive girl walking on the streets, I go approach her saying, "Hi, you look cute." I just thought I'll just come say hi. So when I made a video on it, I got a comment saying, "Do you like your sister being approached by someone like this?" So according to him, his sister is someone very pure, she's an angel, while I am dirty and I am trash. So by approaching his sister, I'll basically disturb the sanctity and purity of his sister. I mean, how did we get to this place as a society where sex and sexuality is being shamed? When will we get to a place in society where take the lowest value woman possible, like the most disgusting character ever? Let's take a lazy girl who doesn't even work hard or keeps boozing and sleeps at home. Let's take a prostitute who sleeps with men for money. Or let's take a very sexual girl who wears all kinds of revealing clothes and gives seducing looks. When will we get to a place where when these girls get raped, there is still a mass outrage in our country? When will we stop focusing on the behavior of the girl and actually start focusing on the behavior of the man who's actually doing the raping and murdering? Well, for that, we need to understand how we are currently solving the problem of rape. Let's say a man attacks a woman. Now, you can either ask the man to control himself and not attack, or ask the woman to change her behavior to prevent an attack. So, we can either ask the man to reduce his sexuality, or we can ask the woman to decrease her sexuality so that the man never gets horny. And between the man and the woman, society asks women to change. Why? Because men are harder to control. For example, even in my own family, my sister listens to my parents more. I don't listen to my parents at all. So it's basically like the Jurassic Park situation. So the dinosaur is like freely roaming in the jungle, but all the people are like slowly walking silently without making a sound. Because one sound and the dinosaur will see that there are people and will attack. Similarly, in our society, the man is all freely roaming and the women should cover their shapes, curves, all their sexiness using a black cloth, and they should look like a black cylinder. Lose one clothing and the man sees that there is a woman inside, he'll attack. So the dinosaur should not hear one single sound, while the man should not see little bit of skin. That's the solution for a girl's safety in our country. But that's not a permanent solution, it's a temporary fix. For example, asking women to wear more and more clothes to prevent getting raped is like asking people to keep wearing masks to prevent getting corona. You see, corona was the exact same thing. Whenever a stranger walked in, we used to get so panicked, we used to search for the mask and we used to wear it. Similarly, when a stranger man walks in, a girl gets so panicked, she searches for a dupatta to wear it. So, corona, dupatta. One covers the nose and mouth, one covers the boobs. In one place, corona is the virus, but in the other place, men are the virus. But do you remember those 2020 and 2021 times? We used to be so stressed. We used to be all the time wearing masks and sanitizing our hands, but still we'll be paranoid that we might catch corona. Well, that's exactly how a girl feels. Even though she's properly dressed and behaves the way you say, when walking on an empty street in the night, she's still paranoid that she might get raped. But the most irritating part about corona was all the sweating. I mean, in Chennai heat, I would struggle to wear a mask because I used to constantly sweat inside the mask. But Muslim women in Arab countries are wearing black pardas from head to toe in 40 degrees scorching heat. So, what is the solution? Well, just like in Corona, the vaccination was the permanent solution. Similarly, asking our women to dress conservatively is just a temporary solution. The permanent solution is a man's sexual self-control. If we can achieve that, then it will feel like 2021 when we finally discovered Corona vaccine. We can all throw away our masks and be completely free. And which is completely possible because in foreign countries there are nude beaches where women walk around without wearing any clothes and still feel safe and comfortable being in their own skin. So it's not like impossible. In fact, Gandhi did the exact same thing. At night, he used to sleep with naked women beside him, but he used to not have sex with them. Sexual control. But people in the media shamed Gandhi, calling it Gandhi's dark side or Gandhi's hidden secrets. But what Gandhi was practicing was sexual control, and he was basically trying out a proof of concept for nude beaches, where women's sexuality is not controlled, but man's sexuality is controlled. Where women wear zero clothes, but still there are zero rapes in that society. Let me tell you my own first-hand experience from around the world. So when I went to Thailand this year, I thought I'll approach foreign women and I got so excited. So as I am walking down the road and making eye contact with women, I see that immediately after I make eye contact, every girl just bows down her head. Every girl. No girl is making eye contact with me. I was completely shocked. It felt like I am king. I am walking with head held high. And these girls are like slaves walking with heads bowed down. I mean, in India also it is bad, but in Thailand, it was worse. In India, I can at least make eye contact and talk to the girl. It's only after talking that the girl gets scared. For example, there was this one girl to whom I said, "Hi, excuse me, you look really cute." For that, the girl got so scared, she started crossing the road to escape from me. But since there was so much traffic, she couldn't cross. So she couldn't go forward, she couldn't cross. Basically, she was stuck and she started struggling. For 5 to 10 seconds, I kept watching her. But after that, I couldn't tolerate. So I said, like, you wait, I'll go, I said, and I crossed the road and I left. So on one end in Thailand, you can't even make eye contact with the girl. And on the other end in India, you can make eye contact, but you can't even talk to the girl. So on one end, in Arab countries, you can't see anything except her eyes. And on the other end, in UK and US, you can see everything, including her eyes. So what's happening here? Basically, on one end, women are free, and on the other end, women are slaves. Why? Because on one end, men choose to control themselves, but on the other end, men choose to control women. So the lower the number of clothes on a woman's body, the higher is the value of the men in that country. And the higher the number of clothes in a woman's body, the lower the value of the men belonging to that country. So next time you see these two pictures, instead of shaming this girl for her sexual freedom and praising this girl for her sexual control, look at the men behind these pictures. For example, in this picture, there could be hundreds of people behind the camera as part of the camera crew. But the girls are bearing it all, giving 100% seductive looks, and they still feel safe and comfortable around these men. So praise the man behind this picture for his sexual control and shame the man behind this picture for his lack of sexual control. Why? Why? Because sexuality is your birthright. A woman should have the right to sexualize and seduce her mate. Take every animal in the forest, for example. A peacock shows its beautiful feathers and shakes it rapidly to attract its mate. A jumping spider does the same thing as the peacock, but it also raises its hands and starts dancing. Bowerbird slowly raises its wing and then does very fast breakdance when it's bringing it down. Why? To attract its mate. Female kiwis start singing and they both start running around in the forest, flirting with each other. These desert spiders tap the ground to produce drum beats to attract each other. So all animals understand that between birth and death in this finite life, our only life's purpose is to survive and procreate. So every animal in the forest embraces its sexuality and seduces its sexual partner. So why shouldn't a woman show some skin and pout her lips to attract a male? And sexual control for men is actually not that difficult. India is the country that discovered yoga and meditation. We are the land of meditators. Look at a monk. Look at how peaceful and happy he is. He has no sexual partner, but he is not sexually frustrated. Why? Because meditation helps to down-regulate your emotions. Because breath controls the brain. Which is what Haberman is explaining in his 2-hour podcast, who has a PhD from Stanford. So, nude beach in India and men being sexually controlled is not actually a far-fetched idea. In fact, India is a country where Kama Sutra was written, a book that optimized sexual pleasure and taught its children how to have the best sex possible. So, do you really think women had less sexual freedom back then? So, things will start changing only when we stop shaming women's freedom and instead start celebrating a woman's freedom as a man's pride. You see, rape is never the girl's fault. It is always the guy's fault, no matter how badly the girl behaves. Let me give you an example. There's this show called Firefly Lane, where this girl and a boy go on a date. They get drunk, they laugh, they party, dance, enjoy, flirt with each other, and they even share kisses in between. But at the last minute, the girl says, "No, I don't want sex. The guy gets super irritated. He gets angry. He's like, why? What's the matter? You liked it so far? You liked it so much? Like that, he starts scolding her. So the girl's initial no starts becoming a stronger and stronger no. And the guy's anger is also reasonable because the girl's no had no logic. It came out of the blue from nowhere. So getting very frustrated, plus the guy was a little bit drunk. So he lost control and then he pushes the girl down and starts raping her forcefully. The same thing happened even in a Tamil movie. So in this movie, the heroine marries the hero. So she gets on the stage in front of 100, 200 people. She exchanges garlands and thali and full marriage. But at home, no sex. She'll be like, I married you only to make my parents happy. So she will refuse to have sex with them. So the guy gets fooled and guy gets betrayed because she doesn't say all this before the marriage. Before the marriage, she acts. And after the marriage, she tells him that she has zero interest in it. But every day the guy keeps trying to impress her, court her, woo her, but she's like solid no for just no reason. I don't know. So one day he gets frustrated and then he also gets drunk. That day he loses control and he comes home and rapes his own wife. So in both scenarios, the girls only were not being reasonable. So the first girl was not logical, the second girl was not fair. But the thing that men must understand is no means no. It need not be reasonable, need not be logical, it need not be fair. For example, there is this other movie, I forgot the name, but there the heroine is a prostitute and hero is a virgin. And this hero falls in love with the heroine. And the heroine also starts developing feelings. But this is India, right? So heroine understands that this love is going to go nowhere because this guy's family, no one's going to accept her. So instead of having sex and developing more feelings and getting hurt, it's better to cut it here itself, right? So that's what the heroine will do. She'll say no. No for sex. But our hero is a virgin. Plus, she's having sex with everyone in the whole city and he's the auto driver who actually picks her up and drops her at different places. So hero will get super angry and super frustrated because this is a guy who actually loves her and respects her. But she doesn't have sex with him. But goes and has sex with everybody else in the whole world. So hero will get super angry and one day he will throw a pile of cash at her and says, now you come sleep with me. Heroine takes the money, throws it back and says no. But thankfully this time the hero was not drunk. So he took a walk, calmed himself down and he finally got to his senses. That no means no. It need not be fair, it need not be logical, it need not be reasonable. So in all these scenarios, instead of forcing sex on the girl, you must walk away to a different girl. The world is full of girls. Take a divorce, take a breakup, just move on. No means no. So sexual control we have discussed, where we control our sexuality on the girl's command, but there's still the matter of respect that a man has over a woman. So casteism, racism, all forms of discrimination we've seen, slut shaming, shame over sex, shame over her sexual expression that we have seen. But there is still the final layer of shaming that happens between a man and a woman. And that's nothing but sexism. Basically, discrimination based on the woman's gender. So I've seen this in my daily life. I'll be going on an auto and a car will just drive very badly. Immediately the auto guy will be like, that must be some girl who's driving the car. Or say you have to do some public speaking, but you're so scared, so frightened, you're not able to get onto the stage and start speaking. And what do people say? Immediately they say, don't be a pussy. So if you're intelligent, you must be a man. If you're stupid, you must be a girl. If you're courageous, you must be a man. If you're coward, you must be a girl. So between man and woman, man is on top of the woman. So man is of higher value and woman is of lower value. The same thing we saw with countries, rape. And this is very, very common in our society because ours is a patriarchal, misogynistic society. For example, even I was patriarchal. When I was married, I thought I was the head of the family and I was very controlling and giving orders. Hey, do this, do that to my wife. I ended in divorce. I learned the hard way that marriage is about teamwork, where your wife is your friend. And not just me, this will happen to every guy in India because we are brought up in this patriarchal society. So let's take a Muslim kid. Let's say his sister forgets the parda and he reminds her, hey, you forgot the parda. Then what does the family do? They're all like clapping and encouraging him. So when he gets married, he'll be controlling. He'll ask the wife to put parda. So the patriarchy is built into us. It's in our blood. Every man disrespects a woman in some way or the other. So does that mean we are all rapists? No. You see, Liz Kelly has this theory. So the theory of continuum of sexual violence by Liz Kelly is there is a spectrum, and on this end of the spectrum there is like, hey, woman should be in the kitchen, patriarchy. And in this end of the spectrum there is rapists. And along the spectrum the disrespect just keeps on increasing. So it's like fire. Let's say you're in a forest and you're like scratching stones and you're creating a spark. A spark is in this end of the spectrum. But on the other hand, wildfire, where the entire forest is catching fire, that is at this end of the spectrum. So a spark is a very, very mild fire, while a wildfire is a very, very violent fire. So the intensity just keeps increasing. So does that mean every spark in the forest will turn into a wildfire? No. But every wildfire came from a spark. So are all patriarchal, misogynistic men rapists? Hell no. But all rapists are patriarchal, misogynistic men. And we don't know what, when, where a person just crosses the threshold. Just like in forests, you can't really tell when a wildfire is going to come. It can happen in 2012, Nirbhaya, or 2024, Kolkata, and it will keep happening. Wildfires keep happening. So Liz Kelly and Madhumita Pandey suggest that we educate our children right from a young age to respect women, so that that spark itself is eliminated. And respect is very easy to teach a child than a man. It's like dog training. An adult dog is harder to train, while a puppy is easier to train. So addressing rapes should start at the school and college levels, where they are still in their formative years. That's the solution to stopping rape. So next time your friend calls you a pussy, tell him, no bro, call me a dick. He'll be like, what? And then start a conversation with him about continuum of sexual violence. Tell him how lack of sexual control or your sexual urges is not the problem. The problem is disrespect. Only when the woman is an old phone, she gets raped. When she's a new phone, she is treated right. Speak about this, talk about this, and keep educating people. Being silent when the next time rickshawala scolds a car saying that must be a girl is where we are failing as a society. Because we are not stopping the spark, because the spark is just a spark, right? No need to panic. It's not a wildfire. Well, it could be. It may be. We don't know. Because stopping wildfires is hard, but stopping a spark is easy. But my final words before ending this video is there are other kinds of rapes like date rape and child rape, which I didn't discuss about in the video. So date rape is like there is this new drug which is odorless, colorless, tasteless. So basically if you put it in a drink, you can't even identify it. And also it leaves the system, our body, very, very quickly. So police also can't detect it in blood tests like 2-3 days later. And when a man puts this drug on a woman's drink, in a few hours she kind of gets semi-paralyzed. She can't move her body. And then he rapes her. This is commonly happening all around the world. Check out this video to hear a girl's anecdotal experience. And check out this video where a guy is trying to solve that problem by creating a paper that will detect this drug. It's like a litmus test. You put it in a drink and it will change color. And this guy doesn't even know chemistry. But he's so motivated by solving the problem that he's sitting and learning chemistry for it. And the next one is child rape. Well, this one is the worst. So get ready to eat glass and stare at the abyss. So this girl was raped when she was 10 years old by her taxi driver. And for 9 years after that, she continuously struggled in post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. But the sad thing is, since the experience was so intense and so overwhelming for her, she completely forgot about the incident. She went into blackout. And for 4 or 5 years, she continuously has these absences. Meaning, for 4 or 5 hours in the day, she doesn't even have a single memory. Her mom took her to various different hospitals, various different doctors, and they gave all kinds of diagnoses, but nothing worked. And finally, one doctor found out she has PTSD and that she has been raped. So when you take a child and rape her, you're not only wrecking her body, you're wrecking her mind. She can't even have memories to understand what is happening with her. So slowly after therapy, after many years of therapy, she slowly started regaining back her memories. And then for the next 5 years, she kept getting haunted by those memories every single night. So she'll just wake up screaming and she'll feel like there's blood in her panties when there is nothing there. She will feel his taste in his mouth. She'll feel his smell. She will hear his voice in her ears. But she'll be alone in her room and there'll be no one there. So her own mind played tricks on her and made her feel crazy. Basically, she couldn't even trust her own instincts because they were lying to her and fooling her. So this young girl went to the edge of craziness and somehow returned back to sanity and is leading a normal life now. And that taxi driver, I'm really sure that he doesn't even remember that sexual experience. Which girl? Where? Like that only will be. And this girl took 10 years to become normal again. An experience for him that he couldn't even remember now, 10 years later, or even just 1 year later. What is that experience even worth to him? Nothing. And finally, I want to address this important point because when I saw Mani Chow's video, she started the video with, I have lost all hope in the world. That's how she started the video. So I don't want you to leave this video feeling like that. Because, see, wildfires happen, but they happen very rarely. Planes crash, but they crash very rarely. But does plane crashes stop you from boarding a plane? No. Similarly, even though there are rapes, brutal, cruel rapes, you must learn to trust a man. Because the girl is getting raped by a man and also being saved by a man. Because police, judge, law, justice system, there are many men there, right? So to summarize, lack of sexual control is part of the problem, but it's not the main driver. The main driver is respect for women. And respect can be easily taught to a child. If you see these three colors, you immediately salute. Why? Because you've been taught like that. A newborn baby doesn't even know who his mother and father is. It needs to be taught. So if we just solve that problem of respect for women, then we stop the sparks that lead to the wildfires. Education is how we address rape. And when someone gets raped, don't be like, what did you do to the girl? Because it's very easy to shame, suppress and silence the girl and blame it on the girl. Because otherwise, we'll have to deal with the man. You'll have to confront him, file a police case, go to courts, lock him up in prison. That's a very long journey and it's a very hard journey. So an easier route is just to silence the girl, right? But don't choose the easier route, choose the hard path. Because when you're silent in the face of oppression, you are taking the side of the oppressor. And finally, I hope someday India turns into this ESPRESSO song, where the women are sexually expressive and the men are sexually controlled, where the women are not looked down upon and disrespected, and instead, they are put up on a pedestal and celebrated. I'll see you in the next video.